People fear what they don't understand. And what they don't understand, they name. They give it power, not knowing they're only speaking of the mirror they refuse to look into. You, my friend, have gained a reputation. A reputation that causes people to pause before they speak. They lower their voice when your name comes up. Some even change the subject altogether. But here's the truth. That kind of reputation isn't born from violence. It isn't born from cruelty. It's born from clarity. You walk into a room and your energy speaks before your mouth does. You don't chase validation, so people wonder what gives you such peace. You don't explain yourself anymore, so they wonder what you know that they don't. You've been quiet so long, they mistook it for weakness. Now you're centered, and they don't know what to do with that. Let me tell you a story. When I first entered the monastery, I was full of noise, my past, my pain, my thoughts, all loud. I thought peace meant silence around me, but true peace is silence within. There was a monk there, old, quiet, never spoke unless needed. People feared him, not because he was harsh, but because his presence was pure, unshakable. One day I asked him, "Why do others avoid you?" He smiled and said, "People avoid their own reflection. I just hold up the mirror." That stayed with me. You've become a mirror. Not everyone likes what they see. So let me ask you, is your reputation really something to fear or something to honor? You didn't gain power by shouting. You gained it by learning to be okay with being misunderstood. You started saying no without guilt. You stopped over-explaining. You began choosing peace over drama. You stopped being accessible to everyone. And that's when people began to fear you. Because now, they can't control you. They can't guilt you. They can't drain you. And here's what they'll never say out loud. They respect you more than they admit. Some of them even admire you, secretly. But they'll never tell you that, because your strength exposes their weakness. They'll say, "You've changed." They'll say, "You think you're better than everyone." No, you just stopped participating in your own disrespect. There's power in choosing silence. There's wisdom in walking away. There's growth in letting go of what's not meant for you, even if it's people. You see, we spend so much time trying to be understood. But when you reach a certain level of awareness, you realize understanding yourself is enough. You've reached that level. Or maybe you're just beginning. Either way, remember this. Your reputation is only a reflection of how uncomfortable your growth makes others feel. But don't shrink to make them comfortable. Don't dim your light so they can look directly at you. Don't apologize for evolving. You didn't come this far to stay small. So take a deep breath with me now. Inhale, peace. Exhale, the need for approval. You're not here to be liked by everyone. You're here to become the version of yourself you once prayed to meet. And if that version of you is feared by some, that's not your burden to carry. That's their fear, not your fault. So sit tall, walk light, speak less. And when you do speak, speak truth. You gained a reputation because you finally became someone worth remembering. Let that sink in when you walk into a room and people go quiet. That silence isn't always judgment. Sometimes it's reverence. Sometimes it's the space your presence creates. Space where others begin to hear their own thoughts louder than ever before. And silence. Silence is a language of its own. The deeper I went into monastic life, the more I began to understand that silence isn't the absence of communication. It's the presence of intention. And people who are uncomfortable with your silence often fear what it reveals about themselves. You see, we're trained from a young age to keep talking, to fill every gap, to explain ourselves, to make others feel at ease, even at the cost of our own peace. But silence, when it is grounded in self-knowledge, is a sacred shield. It doesn't block others out. It holds your energy in. Let me tell you about a young man who came to the monastery many years ago. He had a strong voice, bold, loud. He was charismatic, and people admired him, or so he thought. But he came to me in tears one evening and said, "I've made everyone love me, but I feel invisible. Why?" I looked at him and gently asked, "Do they love you? Or the version of you you've created to be seen?" He was silent, and in that silence, he heard the truth. When you finally begin to show up without needing to impress, when you no longer mold yourself to others' expectations, when you let go of trying to be everything for everyone, that's when you meet the real version of yourself. And that version? Oh, it's powerful, but it's also unfamiliar, even to you, because you've spent so long being someone else. This is why people fear your name, because you've peeled away the mask. You've stepped into your own energy, and they don't know what to do with that. Let me be clear. Being feared isn't the goal, but being respected, because you've grown past pettiness, past distraction, past performance. That's the kind of reputation worth having. Not everyone will clap for you. Not everyone will like you. Some will even try to discredit you. But here's the secret. You don't owe anyone a version of yourself that makes them comfortable. You owe yourself a life that feels like truth. And that truth, it radiates. People feel it, even when you say nothing. Sometimes the people who fear you are the same ones who once had access to the old version of you, the version who tolerated too much, the version who stayed quiet out of fear, not wisdom, the version who said yes, out of guilt, not alignment. They miss that version, but you don't. You've outgrown it. And with that growth comes a kind of loneliness. Yes, let's talk about that. The loneliness of elevation. Nobody tells you this part. When you start healing, growing, becoming more grounded and self-aware, you lose people. People who were attached to your wounds. People who were comfortable when you were lost. People who preferred you small, agreeable, silent. But don't grieve the loss of connections that couldn't survive your evolution. Celebrate the fact that you're finally walking in your truth. Even if your circle shrinks, your spirit expands. Even if the room goes quiet, your soul grows louder. You are not hard to love. You're just hard to manipulate. And that's why they fear you. So stand in that, with gentleness, with humility, but also with unshakable confidence. You are not who you were. You are becoming. And becoming isn't always applauded. Sometimes it's feared, but always, it's sacred. So, when they whisper your name like a warning, let it be because you carry integrity, not intimidation. Let it be because you move with wisdom, not ego. Let it be because you no longer entertain noise, only peace. Your energy introduces you before you speak. Let it speak of depth, not dominance, of healing, not harm, of freedom, not fear. The moment you start honoring yourself, the world shifts, and yes, some will fall away. Let them. You're not meant to be understood by everyone. You're meant to be remembered by the right ones. So take a moment now. Breathe in. Feel the stillness. Feel your growth. Feel the truth that lives beneath your name. Not the rumors, not the fears, but the essence. You are no longer who you used to be. And that is something worth being proud of. You may not realize this yet, but the path you're walking, this one that has cost you your comfort, your community, and sometimes even your confidence, it's not punishment, It's preparation. Preparation for the life you prayed for, the clarity you were ready to receive, the version of you that the world wasn't yet prepared to meet. And yes, I know, it gets lonely. Growth often does, because when you elevate, you leave behind the things, the patterns, the people that once made you feel safe, even if that safety was just familiarity in disguise. But hear me clearly. Solitude is not the same as abandonment, and isolation is not the absence of love. Sometimes it's the only space where love, real, grounded, unconditional love, can find you. Let me tell you what I've learned from the stillness of the monastery. When all the voices go silent, when no one needs anything from you, when your reputation no longer matters and your past titles hold no weight, there, in that silence, you will meet yourself, and you will discover something extraordinary. You are not broken. You are not behind. You are not too much. You are not too late. You are becoming, and your becoming may not look impressive yet. It may not be loud or visible or celebrated. But don't mistake invisibility for insignificance. Some of the most sacred transformations happen quietly. A seed breaks underground before it ever touches light. A wound begins to heal long before the scar shows strength. And the soul wakes up, often in darkness. So when others fear you, when they question your silence, your confidence, your boundaries, know this: you don't need to defend your becoming to those who haven't begun their own. Let them misunderstand you. Let them label you. Let them whisper. Because behind those whispers is often a silent curiosity. How did you become so whole without needing us? And the answer is simple. You stopped looking outside for permission. You stopped giving away your power in exchange for belonging. You came home to yourself. You started listening to the quiet voice within you, the one that said, enough pretending, enough pleasing, enough performing. And in that listening, you found peace. Not the peace that comes from everything going right, but the peace that comes when you no longer need everything to go right in order to feel okay. That's power. Real power. Not the kind that dominates others, but the kind that centers you in any storm. There will be days when you still doubt. That's natural. Even monks doubt. There will be days you feel heavy with the silence, wishing someone would just say, I see you. I understand you. I'm proud of you. But my dear friend, sometimes your journey is meant to be sacred, not seen. Not yet. Because you're not building for applause. You're building for alignment. Let your character speak louder than their confusion. Let your peace preach louder than your defense. Let your healing be the revolution they never saw coming. You gained a reputation not because you tried, but because you refused to keep hiding who you are. You became unshakable, not because you're invincible, but because you're aligned, and that is rare. And yes, rare things are often misunderstood, but they are also treasured by those who are ready to receive them. So trust this. Those who truly see you, not the version of you shaped by survival, not the version of you wrapped in apology, but you, the real, honest, present you. They are on their way. You don't need to chase them, just keep becoming. And in the meantime, walk with grace, move with wisdom, speak with love. Let others fear your name, if they must. Let them talk. Let them wonder. You keep walking because your path is sacred, and your purpose, though not yet fully visible, is unfolding exactly as it should. Stay faithful, stay present, stay whole. You made it to the end of this journey. With me, not everyone does. That in itself says something about your readiness, your openness, your courage. You've listened with your heart, not just your ears. And in doing so, you've remembered something you may have forgotten. Your presence is not an accident. Your path is not random. Your reputation is not just what others say. It is what your soul is becoming known for. When people speak your name now, they don't just speak of a person. They speak of energy. They speak of integrity. They speak of someone who can no longer be manipulated, distracted, or shaken. And yes, that can be terrifying to those who only knew you when you were lost. But we all start there, don't we? I was once angry. I was once ashamed. I was once desperate to be heard, to be understood, to be accepted. I confused noise for strength. I mistook chaos for passion. It wasn't until I sat still, in the quiet of the monastery, no distractions, no applause, no mirrors but the soul, that I finally saw myself. And when you truly see yourself, you stop asking others to see you. You no longer perform. You no longer chase. You simply are. And that being, it speaks louder than any words ever could. So now, when they fear your name, let it be a reminder of what you've survived, of what you've let go of what you've become. Not because you wanted to be feared, but because you refused to keep living in fragments. You stitched yourself back together, piece by piece, breath by breath, lesson by lesson, and now your name is peace. Your energy is stillness. Your reputation is rooted in truth. Don't apologize for that. Don't shrink for that. Don't return to what you've healed from. You've outgrown rooms that once defined you. You've risen above stories that once confined you. You are no longer looking for freedom. You are freedom, and those who fear you, perhaps they just haven't remembered their own power yet. Perhaps your light simply reminds them of their shadows. Wish them well and walk on. But you, keep returning to yourself. Keep protecting your peace. Keep becoming someone who no longer just walks through the world, but transforms it quietly by their presence. That's who you are now. Not feared because you're dangerous, feared because you are different, because you are awake. So I leave you with this. Let your silence be your strength. Let your kindness be your shield. Let your wisdom be your legacy. And if ever you doubt again, just breathe. Return to that still place inside you. The place that needs no explanation, no approval. You've already arrived, not where they expected, but exactly where your soul was always meant to be. I honor the journey you're on. I see your strength. And I remind you, your reputation is not what people say. It's what your spirit leaves behind, and yours leaves peace. May your name always be a vibration of truth, not just to others, but to you. Until next time, be still, be kind, be exactly who you are.